Hello, my name is Xander from Terrytown, and welcome to your Sunset Trail 188BH. Starting right up front, you're going to have your crank for your front jack there. Then for a propane tank, all you got to do is just go ahead and turn it on to release the gas. Moving behind here, this is where your battery would be, and this is your battery disconnect. So your battery disconnect, pretty self-explanatory. Whichever way you put it, you got power on, power off, and then remove cover. But whatever way you put it is what the input is going to be. So for example, on the battery is going to be reaching the inside of the camper. Off, the battery disconnects from the inside of the camper, and so forth. Otherwise, you got your pass-through storage here. And then right on this side, you're going to have your freshwater tank. So a quick example for this would be when you need to use water out in the middle of nowhere, or somewhere where you're not going to be using city water connection. So for a national park, for example, they should have little like spouts outside or whatever to fill up your fresh tank. You just go ahead, fill this big tank up, and then when you're out camping, you can go ahead, turn your water pump on, and draw water from this big tank without having to worry about being plugged into city connection. For example, if there's leftover water right down here, you got your fresh tank drain. And then just up here, city water connections, like I was mentioning before. This is going to be your main water source. So when you do get to a campground, this is what you're going to want to plug your water hose into. But besides that, this, like I said, main water source. And then this will be backup just in case you won't have this connection there. And then coming to the back here, you're going to have your outside shower, hot and cold side, along with your shower head and hose all inside there. Otherwise, here's your sewer system. You're going to have your black tank pull, which is going to be for your toilet. And then the gray tank is going to be for showers and sinks. So whenever you go to empty, just grab and pull. So what I do recommend doing is the black tank first, just because that's the dirtiest water. So you go ahead and pull that, let it completely flush out. And then when you're done, go ahead and put a pressurized hose into that little port there. That's going to be your black tank flush. So when you do put that pressurized hose in there, it's going to then activate a small sprinkler inside the system to help kind of flush any toilet paper or anything that may have gotten stuck. But when you're done with that, go ahead, remove the hose, close this back up, and then I recommend doing the gray tank last, just because that's the cleanest water. So when you do go to put your hands back on there, that gray tank has kind of gave it one last little flush. Coming to the back side, you're going to have your backup camera prep right up top there. Just underneath here is going to be your power cord, so your shore power. And then right inside of here is going to be Right inside of here is going to be your cable and satellite inputs all inside here. Of course, you have your spare tire. And coming along here, this is going to be your water heater. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and take this. This is just your little cap. You're going to want to tighten this down as much as possible, but I'm just going to kind of set it on there for a visual purpose. But once it's on there, turn that nice and tight. And then when that's nice and tight, go to the inside of your camper and turn on the hot side of your faucet. That's going to sputter just for a little bit, but then that's just all the air getting released. So when there's no more air getting released, you're going to have a steady flow of water. Once you have that, then you can go ahead and turn this on. So after that, when you go to empty it, just go ahead, pull this little tab here. It's going to hiss because that's just the pressure being released. But when it's done hissing, go ahead, take your socket or wrench or whatever and take this back out. And then all the water is then going to drain right out of the spout here. Then when you're done with that, go ahead, clean this all up, pop that down, and then you are good to go. Otherwise, inside here, this is going to be your main crank. So of course, you just set that right on there, and go ahead and start to crank that. Then moving on, this is going to be your little outside fridge here. And then this is the back of your refrigerator for the inside. So if you do have any issues or anything like that, they're just little quarter turns, so you can go ahead, pop this off, and access the back of that. Otherwise, right here is going to be your furnace exhaust. So when your furnace is on, all the excess heat is going to be kicking out of here. So for little kids, animals, anything like that, when your furnace is on, just try and keep them away from that there. Otherwise, you just have the other side of your pass-through storage there. And then you have your awning LEDs, and then your outside speakers as well. Otherwise, that is it for the outside. Coming to the inside here, this is just going to be your main power panel. So whatever you press down on, it's going to tell you how full they're getting. So for example, if I hold down the black tank, it's going to read low or empty. And then battery, it would tell you how full they're getting. And then so it's just gonna be the fresh tank, black tank, and then your grays right there. Otherwise, you have your awning light switch, your water pump. So like I mentioned before, if you do decide to use your fresh tank, you just go ahead, flip the switch on, and then this is going to draw water from that fresh tank and push it through your lines. You have two elements to your water heater. So when you do want to turn this on, you can do one or the other, or you can do both at the same time if you don't really care about your gas. But otherwise, if you're just plugged in a shore power, I just recommend doing electric. Otherwise, you have both lights settings here. So if you flick this one down, of course, it's going to be your main lights there. And then you have the walkway lights. And then for ones like these, you just go ahead and turn those on. Otherwise, you have your awning retract and extend. You gotta make sure your door is completely open, otherwise it is not going to fully extend. Otherwise, you'll know your awning is fully extended when you see the little gray bar sitting on underneath it, and then the little excess flap or the end of the awning just following. So there's a little gray bar. It's a little stuck right now. I'm gonna try to get it. There it is. So that's a gray bar, and then that is the end of the awning or the little flap I was talking about. You're gonna have to manually let go, because if you do keep railing, it'll actually rail in the opposite way and actually end up breaking your awning. But since I'm doing this is a good time to show you the awning lights. Then moving on, this is going to be your slide button. You just hold slide out. You're gonna hear it start to move. And then as soon as you hear it die out like that, that means it's fully extended. So moving on, you are going to have your keys here. So these are going to be for your main doors and baggage doors. And then the other ones here, for example, is going to be for your cable and satellite box, along with the outside shower. And then for these, you just press, turn to light, and then you're gonna have to eventually light it with a lighter. There's no ignite button on here. Otherwise, you have your microwave. And then for your refrigerator, you just give it a second. There we go. So right now it's in auto. So all that does is choose the strongest power source. So for example, it shows this little plug. That means it's going off of electric. If you keep tapping, it'll say just electric, or that's your LP gas. So the reason why when it goes to auto, it automatically goes to electric, because that's the strongest power source. So like I mentioned before, whenever the strongest is, whether it's gas or electric, it'll go off of that one. And then of course over here for the temperature, the more snowflakes it has, it goes up to 5, the colder it gets. And then just down here is going to be your breakers and fuses. Your breakers are going to be all labeled. And then your fuses, I do recommend bringing some extras just in case, but that's just a personal recommendation. So with that, you can pick this up at any auto parts store, so like an AutoZone or something, for example. And then staying down here, I'm going to go over this little carbon monoxide detector. So the main thing is it has that little green light right there that just indicates that it's on. So with that, whether your battery disconnect is on or off, just double check that that little green light is off, because sometimes they can be stubborn, but when you turn your battery disconnect off, these should die. But the main reason you want to double check that is because that little green light will eventually kill your battery. So if you turn the battery disconnect off and for some reason this doesn't turn off, just take the negative end off of your battery and then this will finally die. And then for your thermostat here, you just choose the fan speed with this, and then you just pop this over, kick it on, and then of course, like I mentioned before, you just have this on, and then you will have to follow this, and it tells you how warm it is going to get. And then up here, for the fan, you can choose if you want it a little bit colder, a little bit warmer air, and then you just choose with these settings here. And whatnot. Otherwise, for the bathroom, the main things about it is you're gonna need to realize it's a foot flush. You just press down with your foot, and then it's going to flush. And then two main things for your toilet. You are going to need toilet solution along with RV grade toilet paper. The toilet paper will help kind of break down easier to make sure everything flows well, and then the solution will help break down solids and smells along with that. And then last but not least, for your bed, you just go ahead and drop this jackknife sofa there. Then you just drop that down. Then you can go ahead and move your mattress down, and then your bed is then created. Otherwise, just reverse it, pull it up. I'll try to do this with one hand. There we go. And then just like that, push it up, kind of grab the back side to help guide it in, and it's going to refold just like that. Otherwise, that has been your orientation. If you do have any questions, please write them down and bring them in for your pickup date, or just go ahead and email me back, and then we can answer those questions for you. Otherwise, that has been your orientation. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoy.